Jai Shri Krishna, the Vaishnav story of Shri Purusottamdasji, a resident of the city of Varanasi, also known as Kashi. Shri Purusottamdasji of Kashi was a close friend of Sri Mahaprabhuji's disciple Damodardasji Sambalvale of Kannauj. Once, when Damodardasji came to Kashi to meet his friend, he talked about how great his guru Sri Mahaprabhuji was and how he benefited spiritually by being a Vaishnav of Pushti Bhakti Marg. Shethji was much impressed, and an acute desire to meet Sri Mahaprabhuji and to embrace Pushti Bhakti Marg arose in him. Sometime later, Shethji heard of Sri Mahaprabhuji's presence in Kashi. Shethji went to meet Sri Mahaprabhuji, who he revered for so long. Shethji arrived at Manikarnika Ghat on the bank of the river Ganga. He reconfirmed the identity of Sri Mahaprabhuji by asking Krishnadas Megan whether he's the same Acharya who defeated all of the other scholars at the philosophical debate in the court of King Krishnadev Rai of South India. Once satisfied, Shethji approached Sri Mahaprabhuji and humbly requested him to accept him and his family as disciples. Sri Mahaprabhuji was pleased with his humility and agreed to visit his home. Sri Mahaprabhuji granted two-step initiation to Shethji, his daughter Rukmani, and his son Gopal Das. He initiated them first with Astakshar mantra of Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama and then with a Brahm Sabandh mantra. Sri Mahaprabhuji then directed them to do Krishna Seva and asked them whether they have a Krishna Swarup. Shethji's father found a Swarup of Sri Madan Mohanji, along with very cold coins and jewelry from when the family was digging a foundation to build their new home. This Swarup was being worshipped by the family since then. Sri Mahaprabhuji gave the Swarup a ritualistic purifying bath known as Panchamrut Snan using 5 nectars: cow milk, yogurt made from cow milk, powder of unrefined rock sugar, clarified butter called ghee, and honey. Shethji's family happily commenced Pushti Seva of their beloved Sri Madan Mohanji. The ancient holy city of Kashi is home of Mahadevji, and its Kashi Vishwanath temple had been there for ages and attracts millions of visitors year after year. Even being a Kashi resident, Shethji never visited Mahadevji temple, as he was a devout Krishna devotee and would not go to pay his respect to Mahadevji. Once, Mahadevji appeared in Shethji's dream and said, "Shethji, I worship your Krishna too. I'm a Vaishnav too. I'm the one who went to pay my respect as Krishna's devotee when he appeared on this earth. I do understand why you would not come to bow down to me. But what stops you from coming to meet me as a Vaishnav? What stops you from bringing your Thakurji's Mahaprasad for me occasionally?" The next day, Shethji went to Kashi Vishwanath temple. The priests and other devotees were very surprised to see him there, as all of them knew Shethji as a conservative Vaishnav. Shethji did not bow down, but very respectfully greeted Mahadevji with Jai Shri Krishna and left the Mahaprasad container at the door to the inner temple. When asked by priests to explain his behavior, Shethji humbly requested them to ask Mahadevji. Shethji made it a practice to visit Mahadevji and take Mahaprasad for him once a month. Mahadevji, in turn, asked his brave and fierce subordinate, Kalbhairav, to watch over Shethji's home and his family, especially when he was out of town on business trips. Once, when Shethji returned late at night, he saw someone standing at the door as a security guard. When inquired by Shethji, Kalbhairav revealed who he was and why he was standing guard. Shethji smiled but did not say a word to Kalbhairav. Once, Shethji decided to go on a pilgrimage to a holy mountain called Mandar, where a famous temple of Sri Mandar Madhusudanji was located. He was accompanied by a poor Brahmin Vaishnav who had renounced the material world and who only survived on the alms he received from people. They both camped on the mountain to spend the night under the open starry sky. When the night was still young, Bhagwan Sri Mandar Madhusudanji wished to test the two Vaishnavs, and so he assumed the form of a Brahmin and first approached the Brahmin Vaishnav, showing him a very expensive jewel and said, "O poor Brahmin, I'm here to give away this jewel I found on this mountain. Please accept it, so you do not have to worry about your living." The Brahmin Vaishnav replied, "I have no family to take care of, and I've already renounced all material things, and my Krishna arranges for my daily meals. Then why would I need your jewel, and for what purpose? Please go and ask Shethji. He has a large family to support." The Brahmin with the jewel approached Shethji with the same request. Shethji also declined, and the Brahmin went to lie. Later, Shetji asked the poor Brahmin Vaishnav about the reason for declining the jewel offer. He replied, "When I have faith in my Krishna to take care of me, why would I need a jewel? But why didn't you take it?" Shetji replied, "For the same reasons as yours, dear Vaishnav." Once, the king of Kashi wanted to visit Shetji. When the messenger came to inform him, he was tending his Thakurji's beloved cows. As he was working in a barn, he was covered with cow dung, grass, and mud. When the messenger advised him to get cleaned up and dressed up to receive the king, Shetji just smiled at him and went back to taking care of the cows. When the king arrived, Shetji greeted him coming straight out of the barn. The king smiled at Shetji as he understood his devotion to his Krishna and Krishna's cows. The king joined his hands in respect and said, "I am pleased to know that citizens like you live in my kingdom, who are so devoted to their Thakurji that they would not care for any status or fame." Shetji replied, "This home belongs to my Thakurji, Bhagwan Krishna, and I am never ashamed of doing all the household chores of his home." The king spent some time talking to Shetji about his business and how the administration of Kashi can be improved. Such are the Vaishnavas of Sri Mahaprabhuji. Jai Shri Krishna.